Hello, and welcome to another episode of Super Pros Bros. I'm Player One Ike, and with me, as always, is
Player 2, Eli. And, bro mama, did you know this podcast is available on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify?
I did not, Broster Strudel. Are those the same places they could
Like?
comment
Share?
and subscribe?
It sure is.
Holy macaroni. That is so cool. I am just... I'm my heart's a Twitter. Speaking of a Twitter, this isn't quite the strongest of... whatever.
Losing momentum here.
This is episode 24, signifying 1 year of Super Pros Bros. Thank you for sticking around, listening, first time, all the time. We appreciate you. And as such, we are here to read your questions this week. From the
yes.
odd to the amazing.
So, I've got some questions lined up for you, my man. Do you want to start this train off, or should I hit you with one?
Hit me!
Alright, easy there.
I was literally... You couldn't see it, but my face was... like, just ready to say the words hit me. So the fact that you asked is just too perfect.
Easy there, Heath. So, John Doe, not an email, wants to know, what books do you want to be movies? Be it a series or just a couple standout novels.
Wrong column.
Fuck me.
Rip!
I got drawn to my name. Trying again.
Those are questions for you.
So, at Harambe did nothing wrong at goof.net, he would like to know, what is the best movie that people are resident sleeper on?
Well, Harambe, I would say... I mean, currently I think people are sleeping on Everything Everywhere All at Once who haven't seen it. Person in the chat.
I feel targeted.
As you should. Other ones in that, like, obviously, you know, everybody's preferences are different. I mean, I'm more than happy to hear other things that, like, what films that you think people are sleeping on as well. Broskikowski.
That's a good question.
Yeah, this one's kind of hitting me out of left field a little bit. What We Do in the Shadows is a great movie that I don't think enough people saw.
Show is also very good.
Show's good. Movie's better.
Okay. Jesus, take it easy.
It doesn't try to, like, pull at the material too much. It uses it just, like, so well. I feel like the amount of people that surprisingly somehow haven't seen Arcane is just, like, depressing. It's like it's just like it's just so damn good. Like, how did you not see it? A lot of stuff from what's the... I'm trying to... hold on one second. I need to think of... There's this movie Kubo and the Two Strings that's done by Studio Laika.
That's a very good call, actually. Kubo and Two Strings is great.
It is fantastic. And, I mean, most everything Laika does is fantastic, but that one, I think, was kind of the pinnacle.
What else have they made?
I
think some people made Coraline. As the same monsters?
So.
Fucking monsters. Coraline is terrifying.
Yeah, they made
a guy who likes horror
Coraline,
movies.
Kubo and the Two Strings, Paranorman, The Box Trolls, Corpse Bride, Missing Link. Those are, like, their big ones.
Man, they do make bangers. Jesus.
Yeah, they're all really good. I heard Missing Link was kind of mid. I never got around to seeing it. I enjoyed Box Trolls. That one was fun. Paranorman was good.
Corpse Bride's a banger.
Corpse Bride's great. Coraline. I think Coraline and Kubo are probably their two best ones. Those are very, very good. Not enough people will ever see Fleabag, in my opinion, so that's probably a show that's just wildly underseen.
I have one that I think is slept on by a lot of people. I think it's Venture Brothers.
Yeah. I think especially, like, season 2 is, like... I think you have to, like, watch them early. I think it's, like, one of the reasons it's been slept on, because, like, do remember that the show has been being made. Like, I first saw the show when I was 19.
Yeah.
It's been around
comes
for
out at a
15
painfully
plus
slow.
years. Yeah. I mean, it's basically just made by two guys,
Yeah, Doc Hammer and
Jackson Public.
thank you. I can never remember his name. But yeah, I think that one is criminally slept on, personally. I think especially after anything after season 1, I think holds up pretty well because I feel like the animation actually finds a stride after season 1, so it's not like awkward to watch. You're like, this is dated as shit, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's very true. This one is, I think, underseen because it's just so hard to watch, but Uncut Gems. I think a lot of people didn't see it because like Adam Sandler, he has a kind of like certain notoriety, and it's
Did he actually make something good for once?
oh, it is. Well, I mean, he's not making it as part of it, and like to his credit, like I think a lot of people misunderstand what he's trying to do because from all the interviews I've seen, so much of what Adam Sandler's trying to do in most of his movies is just have fun with his friends. It's more like a hangout than and it is like a piece of art. He's just like hanging out and like dicking around with his friends. But that one is amazing. It's really fucking hard to watch. It is it is like watching a panic attack. So it's not like you're having it, but you're basically in the room. It's like really, it's tough for a lot of people's stomach, but I think it is artistically just like one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. Just it captures something that is really not like done.
Okay.
Probably The Lighthouse because that movie's nuts. If you haven't seen The Lighthouse, that movie's fucking crazy in the right kind of way, but it's fucking crazy. So I would be surprised if a lot of people didn't see it. Dude, like it is totally fucking shit.
It's something.
It is something. Anyway, kind of get bogged down with with just this one subject. We've got so many more emails to read.
We do.
So, question for you, John Doe at Not an Email asks, what books do you want to become movies? I'm assuming he means like would make good movies.
Yeah. I was like, there's something they've tried and found ways to cop
Oh
it up.
Lord!
Lord have mercy. I know it's happening, but I know a while ago I said that I wanted Redwall, like the Redwall series by Brian Jacques, to see a film adaptation because I think it'd be great for it. And lo and behold, it is happening like 2023, I think. So
yeah,
woohoo! Much joy. I would pay to see a better Percy Jackson made.
I can think of another one that you'd pay to see a better one of too.
Oh yeah, but I think Percy Jackson holds up better. I've gone back and reread Aragon. That's not as good as Aragon.
That's not what I'm talking about. No, Aragon's definitely one of those ones that it's a novelist's first attempt. It was kind of cookie cutter, and there was a lot of hype around his age. And I don't think that's anything. That's any of the author's fault. Him. Yeah, it's just it's the way it was perceived. You can't control the hype around the project. I was talking about Artemis Fowl.
Oh God!
But anyway, other than those two, what are movies that haven't been given
haven't been given
any shake at? Yeah. Well, we can't say fair shot because those last two were not given a fucking fair shot.
That was not a fair shot. It was this active sabotage.
Homicide via negligence. He fell into the wood chipper. How was I supposed to know?
All I did was turn it on. So, I think what... Nope, his Dark Materials did have a film adaptation.
And the show adaptation. Which apparently I've
heard the show is much better than the movie painted it out to be.
Well, didn't the movie try to do the bad mistake of we're going to do all of them in one? Or we're going to try and do this enormous amount of material in a couple hours. It's like, motherfucker, what?
Yeah, it very much fell into that trap. Oh, for God's sake! I read them not too long ago. I have to look up. What is she?
Google be my guide.
Seriously, What is books? You, sir, what did you write? First Law. There we go. I would love to see. So I read them a while ago. I recommended them. I think they're great books. First Law trilogy are outstanding. I think would be a absolutely banging trilogy to see brought on screen. It would be a dope kind of epic fantasy feudal, absolute fucking gore fest. It'd be awesome. It has, I think, some really good, really flawed characters you follow, which is always a great setup. It would have a lot of good opportunity for good swordplay, for cool kind of magic spectacle, for a lot, and some really cool like interpersonal moments. Like I think that would absolutely slap. Come on, I can find it. There's actually an old series I read forever ago about Merlin that I think would do well, because I feel like he hasn't gotten a good fucking film adaptation. I remember the books being kind of fun. I remember one of them being super dark. Like, yeah, one of them was a guy walking around killing people with like he'd given up his hand to just become a giant sword, and he was killing people in the most obscure ways possible, and like letting them bleed slowly. It was super grisly.
Damn.
It's like, how did I get this from the library in elementary school? Yeah, like the opening scene is him like cutting off a girl's ear, and she just bleeds out.
Jesus.
Yeah, right? Super fucked up. Like, oh my god. I think those would be awesome. Like the first book, like the main story is him finding magic and like fighting an ogre. Like it would be cool. I think Merlin is like, I think the show was supposed to be okay, but I think we could use more banging sorcerers. But I think First Law is absolutely. I would love to see that turned into a movie.
Who's the writer if they want to find, just in case there's like a second?
Joe Abercrombie is the writer.
Not Fitch. Next.
All right, next up on the list, we got Richard Not a Guy asking, with an ample budget, so you're not financially constrained, what comic book would you want to see adapted to be a movie?
I think there's like two for me. One is nostalgia, and one is just is something I'm actively working on, and I would really love to make a live action.
I know one of them.
Which one do you know?
I know Berserk.
Yeah. Berserk is the one I'm actively working on, albeit slowly and with almost 0.1% of anything ever coming to it. But that is, for those of you who are not aware, me and my co-host are absolute fans of Berserk, and we're very distraught to hear that he died, and very happy to hear that the author's work will live on via his understudies, who are going to finish it in the way that he believed and like he told them to do. Or at least that's
I think it's something along those lines. I know it's being handled by people that had like actually worked alongside and worked with Kentaro Miura, so it's not like some fucking outsider just walking out like, I'll fucking finish this shit up.
I got that.
Like, I'll put a bow on this. Yeah, so it has a chance.
Yeah, it's got a chance at that manga finishing good. I would love to give it. I think it's one of those ones, especially with we see Game of Thrones. Like, if you give me that kind of budget, I could. Like, it's just so strong. The story is in many ways relatable, in other ways just so fantastical. I think it's just awesome. Yeah. The other one is, again, another one that we both read and love the shit of. I think this one probably wouldn't work, but I would love to give it a go. Yep, ElfQuest.
Hey, we
2
got
for
there.
2. Get this guy a gold star. That series is fantastic. It probably, like, I've read it since I was a kid. I read it way more when I was in like junior high, grade school. Definitely probably shouldn't have been reading it in grade school. It's a little bit.
No, definitely not. There's a couple scenes you should not have been reading in grade school.
Yeah. Lots of orgy, sex, and bedlam.
It kind of
concurrently, but
it kind of comes out of nowhere too. With there's like 2 orgy scenes I could think of. It's just like, oh, they fucking all of a sudden. Okay, holy shit.
We're going into battle tomorrow. Let's fuck. Granted, that is a relatively traditional thing if you go back to medieval times. When you look at medieval cultures, there was a lot of people who got pregos because war was happening not soon after. It was like, if I'm gonna die, don't need these balls to be
Go out
full
with a
or anything.
smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do think they're both strong enough. ElfQuest gets a little...
It gets weird towards the end.
Not only does it... Well, towards the end it starts to get very weird, but I think also there's like time jumpy stuff where I don't know how you would write it, but that is definitely one, if I had the money, I would love to give it to the fan base. Because at multiple points they've tried to fan fund a something, and it like always fell apart. So it'd be really cool. I think that one's like got too small of a following to ever get it done, but it'd be really cool. I think Berserk has a big enough following, and it'd be good for it to get its due, because there was an anime that came out in the 90s. It failed because it didn't have money, and for the 90s it was pretty decent. It still holds up relatively well now.
Oh, sorry, because it's hand drawn, it still looks fine. Honestly.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of scenes though. Looking back, it's a little like cringy, because they painted a still, and then literally somebody took a camera and just like, just moves it over a still with like sound. It's like, sure, but like, good lord, like you clearly, it's obvious. There are times where they're like, we don't have money for this scene, and they're like, all right, just draw us a still. We're gonna slowly
make it happen, Cap.
Yeah, but that one holds up relatively well despite its budget problems. From a story standpoint, the one that came out more recently on Netflix is an abomination for 3D purposes. They just kept adding 3D like it was salt to a bad dish. They're like, this will fix it. Like,
I also just did some stuff that I just said, like, I just did some major fucking raise the eyebrow. I'm like, what?
What were those for you?
One of the ones that just like I remember it because I saw it and I just started fucking cackling. The chick is naked. She just doesn't have nipples. They just didn't animate nipples. I'm like, why?
She's a Barbie doll.
Yeah, I'm just like, what? Like, what?
Especially considering the subject matter it gets into. It's like, you're going to have to show tits at some point. There's like, a plethora of titties in this the runtime of the show.
In 2 minutes, she's going to have a possessed horse threaten to rape her. Like, really? And nipples are what we're concerned about. Like what?
That's the
what's
problem.
What's happening here? That's the top of the concern list. Egad's anatomy.
Did they actually go through with the horse rapage? Not like it doesn't. She doesn't get raped, but like the horse like talking.
They have him like say, "I'm going to ride you."
Yeah,
they don't show like his dong fucking whipping up, but
do they show his horrifying like face?
Yes, they do to the face.
Jeez. Yeah, that face is unsettling.
It is super gross.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's something I would have cut. Like, I think you can show that in a different way that is less like freaky deaky, because there's certain things that are freaky deaky in that show that kind of just have to exist, otherwise you're just not doing the show. That one doesn't need to.
No, that one is extra. That was extra AF.
Wow. All right. Well, let's go on to before we get too extra on that, let's go on to the next one. I'm Not a Real Person at Yahoogle asks, what trope do you want to see more of or never again?
All right. What do I never want to see again? I never want to see a perfect character. Fuck
Superman. No dice.
No dice. Like, characters are best when they have imperfections, when there are shortcomings. Like,
when they're
even
relatable.
If you want to make them, it makes them relatable, but it makes like, unless you want to make them like a villain, but even then you could argue like their villainous fucking tendencies or their kind of lack of morality and empathy is a downside or is a deficit. Mm-hmm. But like, there's kind of this principle, quote unquote, that like everybody has the same amount of intelligence, and that it's divided between a number like. Think of it like everybody has the same amount of attribute points, but what they're spent in goes different. Like, so, I'm not the greatest fucking physical athlete ever. Like, I've got decent athlete capabilities, but like, if you just put me on a fucking basketball court and said, shoot 100 threes in a row, I'm never doing it. Yeah. I might hit 2. But there are people who could just be like, yeah, no problem, and just fucking sink them over and over and over again. Like, so that idea is there's a distribution of talents. And so it's like, if you make a perfect character who can just fucking do everything, I'm like, go fuck yourself. Like, it's obnoxious. Like, people should just have shortcomings or hurdles.
Yeah, so they can't have extra, like, stat points for no reason.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
even in the case of like, I love writing stuff with like superpowers. It's like you still got to make some kind of deficit. You can't just make somebody who does it all.
Yeah.
Like there should be certain things they're better equipped for, but like there's certain things that other
Or
people,
if you do
depending on
want to make them
context, are gonna do
great
better.
at seemingly everything, have them have a moral weakness where they sacrificed a child for the power, or like like there are shortcomings.
And then, but then I mean, like then that can manifest. They have like psychological instability
Yeah.
because they have fucking PTSD. Like there's absolutely ways you can write that.
Yeah.
I don't like perfect characters that are just like
God's not fun to watch eat a sandwich.
Yeah, like exactly. Something I think I'd like to see more of.
I mean, I guess you can see more.
It's more of indeed. I you know what? Actually, fuck it. I like the 5-man band kind of formula. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
We're especially
seeing I feel like we're seeing a small resurgence of that though recently. Not to like undercut your point, but like,
no,
isn't like the boys kind of like a 5-man band setup sort of?
Yeah. I think I really like 5-man bands when they actually do like side roles justice. Like when they're not just fucking.
They're not just focusing on.
They're not just limp dick caricatures that like the hero is going to inevitably solve every problem. Like when they actually have their own fucking unique purpose in the group. I appreciate that. I think when done right, I love the chemistry that comes with a 5-man band because I'm a sucker for good banter or like
who's your favorite role in the 5-man band? I know mine for sure.
What is it? It's like
one sec.
It's not hammer, but it's like power something. Shit.
Looking it up real quick because we should know this in doubt. We have the leader, the lancer, the smart guy, the big guy, the chick.
Big guy. I usually like big guy. I feel like they have there's a certain simplicity to them I just appreciate.
I love me a lancer.
I feel like lancers too often are just fucking whiny. Kills me.
The good lancers aren't whiny at all. The good lancers are like
good
Vegeta.
Ones, yes.
Vegeta's just like a rip-roaring asshole.
But like, God, the problem is I don't like Dragon Ball Z because Vegeta does nothing.
Yeah, Vegeta sucks, but his character is great. His
dialogue's banging for sure.
His dialogue is banging, but like the content of his character is great. What they do with him sucks. Yeah, but like the angst of his character, the other good one, and to call back to ElfQuest that nobody but us knows about. One of my favorite lancers of all time is Strongbow. It's just like always kind of like side-eyeing the main guy, talking like these humans. Like you only like kind of dug it. They're usually like stubborn for no good reason, but it kind of allows them to be badass in other moments because they're such an asshole that they kind of earn it in a way. I kind of dig it. Like there's a scene in ElfQuest where, so to give the TLDR for anybody who hasn't read it who's watching, in the comic, elves can do this thing called sending where they can telepathically communicate. And the lancer in that show is a guy called Strongbow who, guess what, is an archer and doesn't believe in talking. He kind of looks down upon it and only sends. So he'll only communicate telepathically with everybody.
Yeah.
And at one point gets locked inside a place where he's been tortured and wants to justifiably get the fuck out. And like the doors are, the place is villainous because the doors are made of people. They're like each doorway is like controlled. They made smart doors by taking and imprisoning elves and like controlling them. Like the person who's like running this place has like each door is controlled by an elf that's their job, which that's fun. Yeah. And he like wants to leave and they're like, you can't leave. She's like, I'm not opening the door. Like this person's not around or I won't open the door for you. He goes, fuck it. And he just like power sends at the door and just yells at him enough until the door is like, I guess I'll just listen to this guy and just like opens the door. He's just like muscles through with his brain. I'm like, that's awesome. He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Psychic screams them into submission.
Yeah. He's like, I'm fucking leaving. It's like, boop. I'm like, that's fucking cool. Yeah, definitely a Lancer guy. What we got next on the old Dacarino?
Alright, so I am totally alive, and Ask Jeeves wants to know why do you, or what drew you into movies as an art medium over anything else?
I'm a very audiovisual learner, so that's part of it. And just the full range of scope, not leaving anything up to the imagination. You get to control so many aspects. I'm a control freak, nuts to bolts. Thus, I'm the editor of the show. Uh, and the ability to have everything like I love theater. One of the problems with theater, if something gets messed up, you can't fix it. You can do the show the next day, but you can't fix it. Books are
Yeah,
a great
sure.
medium as well. However, the way certain words can be read differently, certain scenes can be felt differently. You can show it directly the way you want it to be shown, and so that kind of control over the end product is so great. And just it's like conciseness, like when done correctly, the conciseness of its telling. I think we're getting a little long in the tooth when for TV shows these days where they like the amount of seasons they have. One of the reasons my favorite show is Atlanta is because they're ending on season 4. They're like, no, I think we did everything we wanted to do, and they're finishing it. Like this is the
Mm.
right amount of time. There's so many shows that will get long winded. I think that's a little bit of thing of the past now. With like Netflix has apparently it's relatively public information that they basically only do 6 seasons of a show, and then they're like, that's good, and then they call it done by and
Mm.
large, even if the show is good. Like, the only reason I know about this is because I was listening to an interview with I'm going to say his name wrong, and I'm sorry, but Hassan Minhaj, which I know he says it slightly differently, but I can't quite remember how. He was on some show talking about his show Patriot Act, which was crushing it. It was like his version of the Daily Show on Netflix. They did 6 seasons and then they were done. Everybody's like, "Why did they cancel you?" He goes, "No, that's just what Netflix does, generally
Right. I
speaking."
thought they did two.
Of that show, no, I believe it was
Yeah.
like they got the full 6. Could be wrong, but it wasn't like a we're done here. It was, or that's enough of that. It was very much like that was kind of an agreement. Um,
Nope, it was 6 seasons.
yeah,
Okay,
so
that's
6
okay.
seasons.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was two. Never
No,
mind.
4 seasons for you to go and watch. Um, but it really comes down to the coalition between the visual, the audio, the writing, the acting, the fact that you can do it more and more times to get it like perfect. I
Yep.
really do like books, but there is a lot to the interpretation, which, depending upon the way the movie comes out, can be better, can be, I don't want to say worse, but more fulfilling when it's a film because of so much of like how you're getting it. Um, so yeah, that's the reason for me. I guess the flip side of that is why, for you, Broskinkowski, why are books the best medium?
My books? Not sure. I think because I've just always liked reading books. Like,
Pages are dope, yo.
pages be dank. Um,
The money I would pay for like an ad thing for like a local library where you're just like reading a book and you just like look up at the camera. These pages be dank, yo, and just go back and like turn the page and read.
cut the tape. I like nerdy kid in school. I read a lot of books. Like that was kind of for a while my means of escapism.
Mm.
And I mean, for fuck's sake, in third grade, I think I tried to actually write a book for like some writing. It was, third grade. I don't know how to string along a plot.
Aragon 0.98.
What?
Said Aragon 0.98.
Um, yeah, like even then, I was just trying to figure out how to make a book. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a new thing. Apparently, like it has been something I've wanted to do forever.
Yeah. How'd that one end up?
Oh, it was a disaster. It's like it's just this happened, and then this happened, and
Yeah.
then this happened, and then the guy's dead, and hooray! Like
Yeah, it was just and.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You've heard that great writing principle, right? Of the so there's this really cool video that circulated a while ago where two of our favorite writers and creators, was it Trey Parker and Matt Stone, went to, I think it was Denver University, or University of Colorado, I guess technically, and they went to like a film or like an independent writing class or something, and they talked about the way they create that they're kind of the way they look at stories and like the way they write them. Do you know this?
Nope.
It was this writing principle. It was but or meanwhile back at the ranch, meaning that every time there's a story beat, it needs to precipitate something else, not something just happens after it, but something happens because of it. So, Eric Cartman goes and gets pubes, but like the pubes he gets aren't his, so they don't count. So I think it was like but so maybe, but so he goes and tries to get his money back from I don't remember. Tries to get his money back from the kid, but the kid like fools him and he loses more money. And like so everything happens because of the thing that happened before, that the events like enact or inform or cause the next actions to happen. Or and this usually happens when they're telling multiple storylines, which is fairly constant with like the four main characters of South Park, is they'll do that and then they'll incorporate the following, which is meanwhile back at the ranch. And this idea comes from old TV westerns where you have two stories going on, and so when a character is riding a horse from one destination to the other, instead of doing like a quick cut where you show them riding the horse and then arriving, you show them riding the horse out of town, you cut to somebody else in the story that's doing something relevant, whether they're in a mine and like the rope's about to break or whatever. You cut to them, and then so it's, you know, the guy rides out on the horse. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, you know, they're having this conversation, and then when that gets boring or that, you know, fizzles out, then you cut to the guy arriving at where he was riding to, and then that thing happening, as a way to kind of keep the thing moving along so you're not following something irrelevant, and it's a way to kind of like ping pong back and forth. So it kind of sounds like you kind of figured that out on your own via writing it and you know. But there was this fantastic video essay done by, and this is like one of the reasons I got into art as a medium, or got into film as a art medium, is there's this great YouTube channel. Sadly, it's still up, but like it's not being updated. It's called Everyframe a Painting, and one of them was about, that's where I got that clip from. But it starts off with the thing from Dude, Where's My Car, where they're ordering Chinese food, and she goes, and then, and he goes, no, and then we're finished. That's our order. And he goes, and then he's like, no, and then he's just like getting like incensed. I'll see if I can find the video and include it, but it's just so fantastic. And the creator of the video essay like kind of noticed it in his own work, and you know, showed that clip from the South Park guys teaching, like doing a little impromptu lesson at the university and talking about some other stuff. But it was really cool to watch him explain it, talk about it, and institute it in his own work. And but that was one of the channels that got me interested. Also, it was the only class I wasn't falling asleep and wasn't bored out of my mind at university. I was like, I tried, you know, I'm gonna do this class. Nope, I'm bored as shit. I'm gonna do this class. Fuck that, I hate this teacher and or I hate this subject matter. Screw that. And then I ended up taking a film appreciation class, and just the way they talked about movies and the class itself, I was like, I think these are my people. I think
could these be my people?
Yeah, I think I found them. And it was the way we talked about film and doing things. I don't know that I'm nearly as committed to the brand as some people are. There were some people in those classes that like, I don't think I'll ever reach their level of emphaticism or fanaticism, but it felt like I was in the right room by and large. So I think that's also like one of the big reasons that art is the medium for me. That's where I found, you know, home. Next, we've got Leroy Jenkins at gohard.net asks, what movies are better than the book?
Oh, it's a very, very short list. There's not many.
Well, I think there's a good explanation of why it is also a very short list, in your opinion, and I think it's very valid, which is...
most people, it's like... Here's a fun trivia term for you. Have you heard of the term generational decay?
I have. I would probably misuse it poorly. So what? Help.
Okay, so
I mean, help
generational
defend
decay
me.
is actually a concept regarding recording, like film recording, where if you make a recording of a recording, it gets worse.
Mhm.
Until after, like, 4 or 5 generations in, it's just fucking nonsense, and it looks
Yeah.
nothing like what you started with. I feel that most movies that come off of a book fit under this trope. They like are subject to generational decay of some variety, so it loses something. Oftentimes because there's no cap on how many pages you can slap into a book.
Yeah.
Though there's an argument that sometimes there fucking should be.
Looking at you, Tolkien.
Take it easy.
I was gonna say,
Um,
looking at you, Was it Tarkovsky or whoever did like War and Peace or whatever?
Looking at you, Ayn Rand.
Looking at you for a couple different reasons, Anne
Yeah,
Rand.
for a number of reasons. One being your fucking 800 page count. Get the fuck out of here. 30-page fucking monologue. Kill me.
It's not a book, it's a doorstop.
Yeah, shit you not, by the way. When you meet the character John Galt, he has a 30-page monologue.
You wrote,
30
you need to know who he is and what's he about.
pages. Anyway.
But I do think what you were saying there is like one of the reasons that they are just why that list is so short.
Yeah,
it's like
it's so hard to like. It'd be like trying to It's like trying to recreate someone's painting.
well,
At best,
I was more talking about like the amount of time you have. Like in a book,
Yeah.
you have indefinite time, sometimes to
you've
the
indefinite
detriment.
time.
But like movies, unless you start making trilogies
do
and stuff
not.
like that, yeah, you have like 2-3 hours tops.
Yeah, and so there's stuff you have to inherently lose, which I think is a problem. So, but I do think one of the few examples that I actually appreciate the movie to a degree more than the book is Treasure Island, the original.
Huh.
I think the one that had like super young Christian Bale.
Yeah, the one that's made in
as-
Australia,
Yeah, because it's
yeah. Rated F for family.
what?
You didn't read that on the back of the box?
No,
It's literally rated F for family. It's great.
amazing. But it's one of those few times where it's such a good and faithful retelling. It's like it doesn't skip beats out of the story because Treasure Island is actually not a very long book.
Nope.
And it just gives it a visual to go along with, I think, and it does a good job, like even using good voiceover narration from super young Christian Bale. Hawkins, is that his?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jim.
Thank you.
Rum Jim. Yeah,
yeah.
some rum.
That's one of the few instances I would say I think the book or the movie actually kind of did better than the book. But that's such a high bar to hit that like I can't think of another where I'm like, this is better. Like I'm glad this happens instead. Like I can't. Actually.
I didn't ever read it, but the one I've heard that is better is, and this is coming from the author, is Fight Club.
Okay,
Chuck
I
Palahniuk.
haven't read Fight Club either to say.
Yeah, Chuck Palahniuk is quoted. He's like, I think they did a better job, or I thought it was really good.
I actually watched Fight Club like last weekend, by the way.
Nice.
Weird,
Hold up, or
weird.
were you like, woof?
There's a few things I'm like, huh. But by and large, still holds up, still good.
I think, what was it like? I never read Jurassic Park, but I think my understanding is there's a fair amount of Michael Crichton stuff that when it got turned into a movie was a little bit more streamlined, where Crichton might have gotten a little in the weeds.
I haven't read really anything of Crichton. I've read Micro is the only thing from Crichton I read, but it wasn't all him, so I don't know how much of his voice was kind of changed in the writing.
That was one that we talked about at one point a while back that we talked about like would make a great movie or TV show.
Absolutely.
If it like got the funding that it needed.
Yeah, it's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, except you're in Hawaii and everything's terrifying.
And people actually just and die.
Yeah, also because, giant bugs and nanobots want you dead. Oh my.
Yeah. I think we talked about it as like being like an anime, kind of like Invincible, where it's just like, oh, this is nice seeming, and that just like people getting just like lopped in half. Yeah. It's easier. It turns out it's easier to film bugs when you do it in 2D.
It turns out. Also, it has the grossest death description I've ever fucking read. It is so appalling. And it's someone dying to a spider.
Oh, just like the way spiders eat their food.
Because they're one of the few things. We get to go down this rabbit hole real quick. They're one of the few things that does extracellular digestion.
Meaning?
They digest stuff outside of their body. So what they do,
delicious.
They bite you, they pump you full of like enzymes that break you down, and they slurp you up like a goddamn smoothie.
Toasty.
But since we're fucking small and spiders are like the size of a grizzly bear, it just grabs a dude, takes a chunk out of his head, and just pumps him so he like inflates against his body armor and starts seeping out. Yeah, no, it's just like, oh god. Like,
he's also being like filled with acid, basically, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, he's basically being pumped full of stomach acid. Yeah, nah, he's very dead. Anyway.
Yeah. Hopefully, he didn't have long to scream.
No, he did not, because it like bit through a chunk of his like neck or head or something.
He's just gone.
Yeah.
Luckily for him.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah, big woof. All right, moving on.
Maybe the next question will be a little bit more happy.
So does Bruno Mars is gay at Hotmail wants to know, who do you think is the best villain of all time?
Best villain of all time.
I mean, we do love bad guys with swagger.
Yeah. I think Thanos is a decent one. I'm a big fan of villains like that have a lot of depth to them, and like you kind of see their point. Cartoony ones are fun as well. Like we've talked about Handsome Jack before.
I love me some Handsome Jack.
Need to look up. That's not right. Need to look up the name of this character because I can say who he is, but it's not going to give the name, and I kind of want to give the name. Wow, his name is super generic. The operative in the movie Serenity, I think, is probably one of my favorites. It's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, and he's
crushes it.
Yeah, he crushes it because Ejiofor is like an amazing actor. I would love to work with him one day. But the way in which his character is so sure of himself, and the thing that he's trying to do seems noble. He also understands. I don't know. The complexity of his character and his understanding of like, yeah, I'm bad and I'm okay with that because I'm doing it for good. It's just like there's this great line in Peaky Blinders where Alfie, like, I don't remember quite the work up to it, but there's this situation where Arthur, Thomas Shelby has Arthur kind of actually under control for once. He's like, that scares the shit out of me. This man will do anything for you. There's nothing he won't do. He's like unstoppable now because like there's some aspect of, you've watched the show. Do you know what I'm talking about at this point?
I do remember what scene you're talking. I do remember. I don't remember the exact quote.
Yeah, he's like, this man will like do anything. He'll walk through fire for you. And like the character is kind of already starts at that point of the operative in the movie Serenity, where he's just like, yeah, I've been giving my orders. I believe that what I'm doing is correct and like good for like is an overall good, and I don't care what needs to be done to get in the way or what like who has to suffer or die. He's like, that's, I'm here to enact the plan that I believe is for the greater good of the galaxy or the universe or whatever. It's like, whoa, it's this awesome, one of my favorite movie lines of all time, where he's talking to Mal over like a comm, and he goes, you could have stopped this if you just gave over the girl. Which is awesome. Just like leading off with all these people are dead. It's your fault. He's just like, I don't kill children. And he goes, I do. And it's just like, there's no like, yeah, they deserved it. No, there's no like explanation. He's just like, yes, I did that thing. That's what I do. That's my thing. And he's talking about him more, and he talks about the reason why he's doing it. And he goes, do you think there'll be a place for you? Or like, this, he goes, no, I'm a monster. It's like, he's just so self-aware. I'm just like, damn! Like, it's so awesome and terrifying. And yeah, I think that's probably my favorite villain of all time. There's a bunch of other fun, nuanced ones. None are popping in my head because it's an empty void at the moment. I'm trying to think of other. I think like trying to think other movies. Syndrome was kind of a fun one, but he's more fun than he is like well written. Like half of him is like comedic, but it is a cool character nonetheless.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any popping for you?
I am really partial to Handsome Jack. Again, that one is super comedic, deliberately so, and over the top. But I do just the voice acting and writing for it was just so fucking good, and I can't not look at Borderlands 2 with some rose-tinted glasses. It's not possible.
We spent like so many good times playing that game together.
I have a lot of hours in that game with a lot of people. It's just so much fun.
There's one that just popped into my head, which is Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. Did you ever see that movie? Or
I have not in total. I've seen a bunch of parts of that movie. But
yeah.
Is that who's played by Javier Bardem?
Yeah.
Okay. Most of the things I've seen are with him in frame.
Yeah. He's just so amazing. Again, it's one of those things. Like, he doesn't think he's doing something for the greater good. He's just doing the thing because that's what he do. But just like the way he carries himself is just like, it's this ominous presence of death that just approaches you. And there's nothing like, it doesn't feel villainous. He has no ill intent in quotes. Like, he doesn't mean to do bad. He just is going to do what he's going to do. He's like this inevitable force. Yeah. And it's just like, fuck. You love seeing a man at the top of his game. I don't know. It's more of a monster, but another good one is like Alien, but that's more of a monster.
That's what's more monster, I would say. Yeah. It's just hungry.
Just wants to eat and make babies.
Yeah, it's here to eat and fuck. That's pretty much the extent. It doesn't give a shit about you. It just cares that you're made of protein.
Yeah, I think somewhere between Anton Chigurh and The Operative are probably like two of my favorites. This idea of this, like, when it's a monster, it doesn't think, and you're like, okay, it's basic. It's just gonna eat, kill, fuck, kind of thing. And that removes the idea of humanity from it and becomes a problem, but not villainous in its own way. And I think like Chigurh and The Operative being human and just being like indifferent to the ideas of morality is just like, oh crap.
Yeah. There's one I can think of that's he's a very good villain. Marcos Inaros from The Expanse is a really good villain. You love to hate this guy. And like he's not just crazy, he's a little crazy, but not like delusional. He's just willing to fire people up and throw them into the fucking meat grinder. And he's pretty fucking unrepentant about it. And the author does a really good job of writing his dialogue so that when there's like victory, everyone gets to share in it. But when there's failure, he singles people out. And he's never part of it.
Yeah.
And it's really conniving. It's like, oh, it's fucking sneaky.
You son of a bitch.
One character figures it out. He's like, it was my fault, but it was our victory. It's like he makes himself immune to being wrong because it's attributable to someone else.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's fucking dangerous and sleazy.
Yeah. Definitely, that is some like, what's that called? There's a type of personality trait that is like very synonymous with, I feel like that's some like egomaniacal shit.
Yeah. Like I
mean, look at President.
You're looking for a very specific term, and you're looking for a narcissist.
Yeah. Well, it's specifically like egomaniacal narcissism, right? Like, because narcissism in and of itself.
Narcissism in and of itself is effectively egomaniacal. It's
Oh, okay. Like true narcissism,
true,
like
like narcissistic
full-blown
personality disorder.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Like, and one of the easiest ways to see this, not to like make this political, but if you look at most Trump things, you can see it because that guy is like one of the best walking models of that. It's one of the few things he excels at in a positive way. But
I don't know about positive, but he excels at it.
I mean, he's a great example.
Yep. It's not a good thing to be an example of.
No, it's not. But it's he's a good example of it.
Anyway, let's get off this
Anywho and how. Is Tomorrow Today New Zealand at Gmail asks, what is your least favorite protagonist?
All right, I have two. I have two for this. And one, as much as I kind of like the show, and it's lost some of its shine to me as I've gotten older, on reflection. But Kirito from Sword Art Online is dumb. He's dumb. He's a shameless self-insert protagonist. He's dumb. He's fucking boring. He has no opinion. He's got no balls. It galls me. Like, the fucking... like, the setup... And what pisses me off is the setup for the show is so fucking cool. It's so good. Like, you're in a video game on hard mode. Good luck, fuckers. Like, it does such a good job.
Isn't this, like, one of the first shows that did that, too? Because it's been copied, like, a bunch since then.
1,000,000,001 times, yeah. But it was, like, one of the first... It was definitely the first one mainstream that did something like that. Mm-hmm. And so, it just pits you in a fucking MMO, which I don't know if you've ever played an MMO, but everything in the environment wants you to die, and they don't give a fuck. So it's great. It's good Risk. It's good all this shit. It's like, after, the show spans so long, like, time-wise, it's like over 3 years or some shit. Right? And he's still just the same fucking bitch 15-year-old the whole time. Like, at one point, he just, like, refuses to have sex with somebody because he's like, he doesn't want to look at them naked, even though it's, like, willingly offered. I'm like, you fucking coward. Like, Jesus. You've been in a war zone for 2.5 years, like, leading the goddamn charge, and you're afraid of tits? Like, fuck off. He has no spine. He doesn't personality.
He doesn't grow. He doesn't age ever. He's always the same guy for like 3 years.
Yes, 3 years, like in a war zone. Like at a certain point, there's some hard edges. There should be something, anything. He's just so boring and so bland and
I mean, even the ages, like just going the difference in age between 15 and 18, you are going to naturally mature. Like mentally, even like if you don't intend to, you are just going to naturally mature by information being gained.
He's just the same static fuckbag. But he's not the worst. You actually almost spoiled it earlier. Where's fucking Superman?
Yeah.
Mr. God walking around, fucking big dick on campus, but nothing's wrong with me. Yeah, Boy Scout. And here's what galls me, is that now Superman is at this really awkward impasse where he can't walk it back.
Yep.
Like,
he's been that character for so long.
He's been that character too long that, like, if you see a different take of him where he's like just fucking killing people, you're like, wow, what? Like, it's hard to see him another way. And what pisses me off though is that you could take him being good and like take 2 seconds and think about how much restraint he has to show constantly, because like they're like cover art of Superman, even like old school Superman, just shows him like lifting a fucking tank, just like flinging it around. If he applied 2% of that strength to a person, just to some fucking average woman at the supermarket, she is a paste on the back wall.
Poor Jennifer didn't know, and she took 16 items into the 15 or less line, what was coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, like if he got frustrated on the phone explodes in his hand.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that he can just seamlessly be human is bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
the fact that the movie Hancock has more character development and intrigue than Superman is just sad.
Yeah, and like and live action isn't doing him any favors either. Like, the more recent ones are fucking it up. Like, because they start with him being the Boy Scout in like Man of Steel, which fine, and then they show up with Zod.
Yeah.
He fucking kills him. the first Kryptonian. Also, that's another thing that blows my mind. He faces a kind of existential dread that I can't wrap my fucking brain around, and he's just kind of cool with it. Like, I sit up in fucking cold sweats because I'm afraid of never getting my dream job. This fucker lost his planet. Like, he hasn't met people like him. He doesn't fucking know if he's ever gonna. He probably can't have a kid because of it. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And let's, like, never address, like, he never has fucking crises of conscience. Like, he doesn't feel ostracized by virtue because he can accidentally make people explode. Like, there's so many easy things you can tap into while keeping his Boy Scout persona alive that just aren't explored. And it's such a wasted opportunity, and it was so wasted for so long that it's now almost undoable, and it pisses me off.
Yeah. It's just tragic to have such potential and have it never utilized.
Fucking squandered. Alright. Off my soapbox.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and follow that one up. That was too concise and too great.
Nah, but just... I mean, also, fuck the cavalcade of bullshit powers he gets to fucking generate. Fuck his dumb fucking weakness. It's a rock! Kick rocks! Write a better out. He's also just incredibly smart for no reason. Fuck you! Moving on. Gigolo420 at houseplant.com wants to know, Isaac, what is your favorite bad movie? Because we've all got a few of them.
Yeah, so I guess it depends what we mean by bad movie. Because if we're talking like B movie or like off, thing, like there's this movie called Rubber that is just what the fuck. There's Army of Darkness. Like if we're talking like B movie when it came to like budget, then there's like intentionally bad or not intentionally bad movies, but movies that ended up just bad, like Zombievers or The Room.
That's great. Terrible.
You've seen Zombievers? That's amazing.
I have, actually.
That's hilarious. I'm trying to look. I'm going to look up the worst rated movies of all time and see if any of them like come up other than The Room. The Room is like kind of like a normal answer, I feel like.
It's so bad. I mean, you're tearing me apart,
Lisa. Yeah.
So it's a classic at this point.
I will never watch Cats to find out how bad that movie is.
It's bad for so many reasons.
I've seen Freddy Got Fingered. That movie made me laugh. It is not good, but it made me laugh. The Room came out in 2003? Seriously? I didn't realize it was that recent. I thought that was a 90s movie. It's such bad quality. Yeah, I mean, it's probably The Room. But, like, okay. I mean, Zombiever is also just hilarious. That's a terrible good one. But, like, if we're talking B movies, then it gets into, like, preferential things. So I think, like, to stick to, like, truly, like, just reviled films.
Okay.
I think those stick. What about you?
I mean, B movie schlock. I love fucking Sharknado.
Oh, I haven't got around to seeing that one.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, it looks like the right kind of awful, though. It's
absolutely. And it's like, the person writing it had to be aware.
they were very
They had to know. Like the fact that a dude has a shark yeeted at him and he just like jumps at it, chainsaw out to like cut through its mouth and come out the other end. Just like, okay, buddy. Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. There's a great one in here that I'm looking through bad movies. Batman and Robin, all on 1997. Nipple suits and all. That one had one of the most iconic roles in Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze.
Oh my god, yeah.
Just
tonight's forecast. A freeze is coming.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! Like, it's just banger line. Like, I don't know how much extra he had to pay to have all the good lines in the movie, but it was worth it. He's the only one that comes out of the movie where people aren't, like, groaning.
I mean, you are, but for all the right reasons.
Yeah, like it's just exactly what you wanted it to be. Oh god, it's so great.
It's a movie. It happens.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes. Was there anything beyond Sharknado there for you?
No, that's really the one that leaps to mind that I can think of. Because I don't watch a bunch of like kind of a bunch of B movies or things that I know are just gonna be heinous.
I mean,
Um,
what about fuck? I'm looking for our notes. What about like, is it Come True?
oh Christ! But I didn't like that movie. I want the movie to die.
I know. I was just trying to think of like the. I was trying to
I've
think of a
never
movie
been
you
so
hated.
insulted by a goddamn film. Why would you bring that up?
To get your goat.
Fucking piece of shit.
It's mine now. All right. Last but not least, Jennifer dumped me at grums.edu asks which
Shortest, saddest story yet.
which books shouldn't be turned into films.
Huh. That's an interesting question. I would say all of them or none of them. Like I, it's hard to draw like a delineation. It's like this is acceptable, this isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the few things that I'd be like, don't do this. Like, don't turn religious text into a movie.
Yeah.
Like that's weird. That feels
What,
sacrilegious.
you didn't like Battlefield 2000 or whatever it was? That's like the one where they took like part of some of the writings of L. Ron Hubbard and turned it into.
Oh, God, I actually don't know that's the basis for that, but yeah, I mean,
so.
don't do that because fuck L. Ron Hubbard. But that's a different talking point entirely. But like, you know, don't like a bunch of people love Passion of the Christ. Fuck off with that. Like, don't do it. It's weird. Like, I don't think there's a place for that. Honestly, like, I think kind of leave that be. If you're doing like straight fucking adaptation, don't do it. Like, you know, if you want to include mythology or like stories based around mythology, awesome, dope, all for it. But like, don't just take like this parable. I'm gonna put it to film. Like, don't stop it. Stop what you're doing. I think that's really the only one that like hard fucking no. I'd be like, how about we steer clear, boys? But like,
I mean, like, I think that there is an interesting point in here to be talked about, which is, or the thing that is coming to mind here. I do agree with you. I think by and large, religious texts are like a touchy subject and are better off not being made. But I think like also, if you're going to make it into a film, make sure the runtime tracks, and you're not just like lopping off everything to the point where it's just like, you know, a torso on the lawn. Give it some legs to walk on at least, please.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and for that reason, that's why we have TV. So like, you know, if you're going to make it into a movie, make sure you're going to either make multiple movies, not too many movies, but make enough so that it's so fucking stupid. Make enough where the submaterial is given the proper, you know, chance.
Yeah.
Whether, you know, like Aragorn might have been better if it was a TV show. Who knows? Probably wouldn't be that much better. Definitely wouldn't have been worse.
It couldn't have been worse.
Yeah.
I could have directed something better.
And like, I mean, we'll hopefully see that I mean, it's not the exact same thing, but we'll hopefully see that with like Avatar going from like trying to make it into a movie to like them doing it as a TV, like a live action TV show. Probably still not going to be as good because it's kind of weird to go from
stop
to live action.
Doing it.
Yeah.
You considered that, you fucking parasites.
That's a movie that I'd like to say is slept on, but it like I think it's like the highest grossing Korean movie of all time, and also like crushed the box office that year. So I can't say that. Going back to the earlier subject,
that's not slept on. That got all the respect it deserves.
I think it could have gotten more because I think it's one of the best movies of all time. But yeah, it definitely got
but like
plenty.
it didn't fucking go under the radar. Like
no, it
did not go unappreciated.
Yeah, I got fully appreciated to be sure.
But Jesus Christ, stop bleaching out a fucking Avatar, you leeches.
But
that makes
money.
yeah, but my foot in your balls.
Ow. In?
Yeah. In. I didn't stutter.
Steel-toed super kick. Ouch. And I think that kind of
wraps it up.
yeah. Thank you very much, everybody, for, those of you who just got here and those of you who have been here the whole season. Thank you very much for tuning in. At our regularly scheduled time, we will have, we'll start the next season. And
Pros Bros 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Always, baby. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, folks. And if you enjoyed this, please feel free to
like,
comment,
share,
subscribe.
And don't forget that new episodes of Super Pros Bros will come out the first and third Saturday of every month. Bye.
Bye.